These are the 3 best books I've read throughout the course of my life, and especially over these last few years when I've been on my journey to success as a young entrepreneur. And so I'm going to get in depth on why I think these are the best books, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them and what they've done with my life and my business. So book number 1 is The Power of Positive Thinking. Now, obviously, I'm sure you know by the title why it's so important, right? The power of positive thinking is so important because in your life, if you don't believe in what you do, and I'm sure you've heard it a plethora of times, the people who believe they are rich before they become rich, or the people who believe they're going to be an NBA player before they become an NBA player, are typically the people who achieve said thing, right? So positive thinking is about the only thing that's going to get you there. And if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in God, if you don't believe in anything that's a higher power, including you, it's going to be super hard for you to stay on track and stay thinking positively throughout the course of your life and journey and success and business, because I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably in business or you want to make a lot of money, because that's just the niche of my videos. But this book is extremely well. It talks about how a positive mindset is directly correlated to a positive level of success, and how if you're thinking negatively, it's going to be super hard for you to, achieve a business that's not negatively, either not making money, doing something that's not morally correct, doing something that you don't truly believe in. So Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale is a really good book. I highly recommend it. Now the next book is The 48 Laws of Power, as you saw. And I'm sure you've seen this book online, or you've heard a little bit about it, or I'm sure you've even seen a few quotes or pages online or on social media, or maybe you've even read this book. But if you know, right? This book is extremely hard to read. Most people will buy this book and will sit on their shelves and collect dust because it's actually a really hard read. It's super hard to read. It's very boring, but it is very educational and value-based. So this book is extremely valuable in the way as it teaches you how to speak, how to become powerful, right? Because speaking powerfully, thinking powerfully, right, positively, is one of the most important things you could do if you want to be someone of power, right? Because let's be honest, nobody wants to become successful and just have money, right? They want power. They want to be able to call someone and get something done immediately. They want to be able to do things that, fuel them with power, right? So the 48 Laws of Power is one of the best books you can read if you want to learn how to speak better, if you want to learn how to think better. So I'm going to get into one of my favorite quotes in this book. Let's get it. So law number 25, which is recreate yourself, is probably one of the coolest ones I've read in this book. There's a ton of cool ones, and almost every single one is cool, but this one really just hits home. And so it starts off by saying, do not accept the roles that society foists on you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity, one that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be the master of your own image, rather than letting others define it for you. Incorporate dramatic devices into your public gestures and actions, and your power will be enhanced and your character will seem larger than life. Now, when you hear that, it just absolutely resonates with most people, especially if you want to become powerful, right? The people who are really on that path to greatness, that extremely will resonate with you, especially if you're in that phase of life, right? Recreating yourself, rebranding, building a new human as you are, and achieving success. And when you're reading this book, you got to remember this is pretty ruthless, right? This book is almost like a narcissistic book, because honestly, most entrepreneurs are a bit narcissistic and delusional. I am, at least. I don't say that in a rude way. I'm not a real narcissist, but to an extent, right? So with this book, you got to be careful. It is a national bestseller, but it's extremely ruthless. It ain't gonna hold back on you. So with that being said, let's get into the third book. So the next book is Pour Your Heart Into It, and this is written by the founder of Starbucks. And he's worth billions of dollars. And the reason I really love this book is because it really resonates with people who have actually poured their heart into said subject in life. Because guys, the truth is, most of you and most people in life do not actually put 100% effort into anything, right? Not even the gym, not themselves, not their diet, not their business, not anything. Even their relationships, they don't put 100% into it. And so pouring your heart into something, putting 100% effort into anything, is going to be one of the best things you could do, because it almost guarantees your success. And it's resonated with me a lot, because as a business owner, as a young entrepreneur, I get asked all the time by my friends, and I'm sure you've seen it, like people say to switch up on your day ones if you become successful. I don't really believe in that. I don't do that. I think it's immoral. And all the friends I've had since elementary, middle school, all these friends that I've had and are great people throughout my life, I am not going to switch up on them. Do I hang out with them as much? No. Do I, talk business with them? No. But I do enjoy them, right? They're great people. And I've seen it time and time again. They've asked me multiple times, Aiden, let's hang out, let's do this, let's do that. But I've had to say no, because I have other things to do, right? I have businesses to work on. I've literally chosen to knock doors and manage my business over hanging out and going to the clubs, right? It happens all the time, so I have to pour my heart into it. Every single day of my life, I am working, but I'm also working in other variables in life, right? I'm not just working on my businesses, I'm working on my relationships. I'm working on hanging out with new people, right? Spending time with loved ones, doing the best I possibly can, reading good books. You know, this book doesn't even have a cover, or maybe it does, but it was handed down to me, and when it was handed down to me, it didn't have a cover. This book is extremely powerful. It talks a lot about how important it is to really believe in what you're selling, right? Most CEOs, most business owners, they don't really believe in their product. And I was actually watching a video earlier of this CEO who built I think it was like a knife-proof vest. You know, he was demonstrating in a real life situation, like someone stabbing him, right? Obviously, it was a real knife. And it was a real vest, his vest, right? That's his product that he's built, and he's probably poured his heart into it, clearly, because he's allowing someone to take a legitimate knife and stab him. You might have even seen the video. Just goes to show, people like that are more likely to become successful and make a fuck you amount of money. Excuse my language, but as you guys can see, I'm pretty passionate about this subject, and I poured my heart into my life and my content and my businesses, you know, and my relationships, and I think you should too, right? Because we're only given one life, and you don't want to waste it, right? And I see it time and time again. It honestly pains me too. These people who just waste their youth, waste their life on dumb things that aren't going to have any return on investment, right? These people who are 19, 20, even younger, even older, smoking weed every night, playing video games, they're going nowhere with their life, right? And I'm not saying they can't become successful. People do become successful after doing things like that, but most of the time they don't, right? They just end up going in some loop in life. They get a corporate job, they work 9 to 5, they work for 40 years, and they retire, and they go on one vacation per year, right? It's not the life you want to live. Live a life that you truly love, work extremely hard. And with that being said, I highly recommend you read those books. They're extremely valuable, and I think they could help you in your business. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to click subscribe, like, leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's get it.